Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys another Wall Talk video. And in this video, I'll be talking about everything related to WWE from March 2nd, 2020 up until March 8th, 2020. And this is only going to be things involving Raw and SmackDown. I'm going to save all of the NXT banner things for the next episode of the Wrestling Rundown. So let's just get right into it. Um, do note that I have not seen Elimination Chamber. I probably will by the time you actually see this video, but I just want to tell everybody, just so everybody knows, that I haven't seen Elimination Chamber yet. So I'm going into this blind, so I haven't seen Elimination Chamber yet. So let's start with everything. I'm going to start with Raw from March 2nd, 2020. Just going to kind of quickly run through that. Um, the WWE.com exclusives showed, since it's Women's History Month, WWE celebrated with their programming with Girl Up, and they just had various superstars talk about it. And then it showed 6 things you needed to know before Raw that night. And then we had the actual show itself. We had the commentary team of Jerry the King Lawler, Tom Phillips, and Byron Saxton. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman came out to do a promo, and it was actually awesome. They talked about how typically I try to sell everybody on WrestleMania, but this time I'm not doing any of that because there's not a chance, pretty much, that Drew McIntyre can beat Brock Lesnar. He talks about how the only reason that McIntyre was able to eliminate him from the Royal Rumble was because he got low blowed. And even if he hits the Claymore kick, it's not a guarantee that he'll win at WrestleMania. So I shouldn't even waste my time. And he talks about how Drew McIntyre, he's insulting him, saying that he's weak, and he's insulting his family. Then Drew McIntyre comes out, and he just immediately hits a Claymore kick on Brock Lesnar, and he leaves, and Brock Lesnar's staggered. He's really selling this, and when he's walking to the back, he gets hit again with a Claymore kick by Drew McIntyre, and the crowd was chanting one more time, so he does it a third time, and you could actually hear Brock Lesnar yell at him to pick up the belt. So he did. He picked up the belt, and yeah, I thought the segment was absolute fire. I thought it was an awesome way to really build up Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. I thought it was great. Then we had a now or never match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Raw Tag Team Champions Seth Rollins and Murphy with AOP ringside versus the Street Profits. The only thing I didn't like about this match was it just kind of seemed, thrown out of nowhere and random that this was a now or never match, because apparently if the Street Profits lost, they would never get a chance at the Raw Tag Team titles again. You don't just throw those type of stipulations out there. You got to build to that type of stuff. I would have preferred if, because this ties in later, if on, here they actually build to a match on Elimination Chamber, and, Seth Rollins would have said, if you lose, you never get a Raw Tag title match ever again, but that didn't happen. But the match was very good, very enjoyable. Eventually, Seth Rollins signals for AOP to come down and beat down the Street Profits, and then eventually, behind the referee's back, when he's ejecting everybody, Kevin Owens comes up from behind and hits the stunner on Seth Rollins, and then Montez Ford hits the frog splash on the Seth Rollins, and the Street Profits become the new Raw Tag Team Champions. I'm actually fine with this, because, now it continues the build for Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, because it looks like they'll probably going to have a match at WrestleMania, because afterwards Seth Rollins got interviewed, and, he challenged the Street Profits to a rematch for the Raw Tag Team titles, and he says that he's challenging Kevin Owens to a match, so I'm assuming, he'll face Kevin Owens not for a title, but he'll face Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, so I actually thought all of this was really good. Well, and, they did interviews throughout the show with Kevin Owens, explaining why he interfered in the Raw Tag title match, and then the Street Profits, celebrating, but then finding out they had to have the Raw Tag Team title match. And then Raw kind of goes off the rails for a little bit. So we had a 24/7 championship match. It was Riddick Moss defending the championship against Ricochet. Ricochet, who was fighting for the WWE Championship the following week. The same guy ended up just losing clean to Riddick Moss. He got hit with a neck breaker, and he just lost. And he pretty much got squashed. Like, he got out wrestled consistently by Riddick Moss, and yeah, it's really sad. I think it's looking like that Vince McMahon just kind of doesn't really care about Ricochet anymore. I thought it sucked. Then we had AJ Styles with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson versus Aleister Black. At least we were supposed to, anyways. AJ Styles got on the mic and said, "You didn't meet the fine print in the contract. First, you have to face Carl Anderson. Aleister Black faces Carl Anderson, and he beats Carl Anderson with a black mass. And then AJ Styles says, now you got to face Luke Gallows. Luke Gallows gets disqualified for being too dominant. I hate that finish. So the OC all beat down Aleister Black. Gallows and Anderson hit the Magic Killer onto him, and pretty much then we finally get that match, and AJ Styles wins with a phenomenal forearm, and he pins him using the Undertaker pose, the Undertaker pin style. AJ Styles before then did a promo on the Undertaker. He referenced earlier in the day Mark Wahlberg was warning him about facing the Undertaker and says he should just walk away, and obviously AJ Styles didn't want to do that. So yeah. I really didn't like what they did here. I understand we want to get to AJ Styles versus The Undertaker, but I just didn't think this was the way to do it. I just felt like we just kind of threw Aleister Black under the bus because now we just sacrificed his first loss, and it just feels like we did all that time building him for really nothing. We found out later on in the show it's going to be a no disqualification match, Aleister Black versus AJ Styles. So I'm assuming Undertaker makes an appearance there, but we'll have to wait and see. Well, at least I will, anyways. Then Ruby Wyatt got interviewed, and we had known throughout the show that it was going to be Liv Morgan versus Ruby Wyatt with Sarah Logan as the special guest referee. So she just kind of talked about how there's no friends in the Elimination Chamber. Then we have Liv Morgan versus Ruby Wyatt with Sarah Logan as the special guest referee. Ruby Wyatt and Sarah Logan just, were not getting along, so eventually Sarah Logan fast counts Ruby Wyatt's shoulders of the mat, and then she lays out Sarah Logan. No, she lays out Ruby Wyatt, and then she lays out Liv Morgan, and then Liv Morgan says, "You're right, there is no friends." So, yeah, really not that good of a segment. Then we had the worst segment on the show where No Way Jose was backstage, and he sees Eric Rowan, and he asks him what's in the cage, and he says he shows him, and it's a spider. Kayfabe, I don't know if it's supposed to be a real or a fake spider because we know clearly it's a fake spider, but in the world of kayfabe, it's meant to be a real spider or a fake spider. And it was just a really disappointing conclusion. I mean, I wasn't that disappointed, though, because I really didn't expect anything, good to come out of this cage, but it just was really dumb. And if it's, a fake spider, how does that explain, how people are getting bit and stuff? The enhancement talent he's put in there. It really doesn't make any sense. And if it's a real spider, why did it not bite him when he took it out? And I really thought the reveal was done really poorly. Jose's what's in the box? It was just really dumb. I hated this so much. Then we had Kairi Sane with Asuka versus Shayna Baszler. I actually was fine with this. I know, the fans were chanting "This is Born" in the crowd. Before the match, the Kabuki Warriors did a promo. We were meant to get Asuka versus Shayna Baszler, but Asuka had an injury. So we got Kairi Sane instead. And it was really tough because I feel like the crowd didn't really know who to root for here since, Kairi Sane's a heel and Shayna Baszler's also a heel. And yeah, I thought that what they did was effective. I think it just didn't really work because I've seen them have better matches in NXT, obviously. But Shayna Baszler ended up winning with a Kirifuda clutch. But yeah, I thought it was a nice way to build up Shayna Baszler. Becky Lynch came out and did commentary after during the match, but it was fine. But yeah, really not what we needed because now we found out that Vince McMahon wasn't a fan of this and he's considering not only pushing Shayna Baszler, which I really hope isn't the case. Then Raw gets really good again. We had Rey Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo versus Andrade and Angel Garza with Zelina Vega inside. Rey Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo did an interview talking about the feud pretty much with them and with Garza and Andrade and what they've done to them. This was a very fun main event. It was basically the main event of the show. And yeah, it was very fun. Definitely go watch it. I really like the tag team work that Angel Garza and Andrade did together in this match. I actually kind of hope they become like a full-on tag team. But eventually, Humberto Carrillo wins with the moonsault on Andrade, which actually makes sense. You needed to have the faces get the win, and Humberto Carrillo, getting the win on Andrade kind of makes sense because now, later on in the show, it was announced he's going to face Andrade for the U.S. title at Elimination Chamber, so that actually made some sense. Um, and I'm fine with that match as a placeholder. Because I think, they're setting up for a fatal four-way match with Rey Mysterio and Angel Garza involved for the belt. I'd like to see that be a ladder match, but we'll have to wait and see. But I was all down for this. And then Carrillo did a promo afterwards talking about the U.S. title match. Then we have a long-waited segment that we all waited for was Beth Phoenix's return. She was going to give an update on her husband Edge about what his condition was, but before she can really finish, Randy Orton comes out and he offers a handshake, he offers a hug, but Beth Phoenix doesn't accept it. She says, "Why would I accept that after you nearly, crippled my husband and taking him away from me and away from my daughters?" And Randy Orton then talks about how when he was breaking into the business and he went to a house show with his father. The only back in 1999, the only person that came up to him was Edge, and he talked about how he was a big fan of his, and he said that Randy Orton, him and they could tangle one day, and he talked about how it motivated Randy Orton. So he scratched a claw to become a wrestler, and he's had many opportunities to share the win with Edge as a tag team and as opponents. And he said he was heartbroken when he had to retire, and I was really pumped when he actually returned to WWE. But I realized what was going to happen. Some new young star was going to try to make a name off themselves, and I was just saving Edge. And then he starts really going off on Beth Phoenix, saying that, um, you know, uh, what you did was pretty much you treated Edge like an addict, like a drug or an alcoholic. Um, by uh, fueling him and motivating him to come back to the ring, and he and the adulation of the audience, because that's Edge's alcohol, that's his drugs, and you did nothing about it. And he talks about how she was the one that really took their kids, their father away from their kids, and he really started going off saying that I care about your kids more than you do and such, and it was just a really fantastic segment. Beth Phoenix slapped him. She kicked him in the ribs, but then Randy Orton hit an RKO on Beth Phoenix. I really love how they treated this too. They um, cut away from the win and went to the commentary afterwards. They treated this like it was a real segment. I thought it was great. I thought the segment was wonderful. I'm really enjoying this feud between Randy Orton and Edge. I really hope it leads to. I mean, obviously it's going to lead to a WrestleMania match, but honestly, I would actually put this match on last. Because other than Drew versus Brock, no match will be able to follow it. And I feel like too, everyone's just gonna pour their hearts out into this match. They really should just put this match on last. Have a main event the show. I hope that's which I hope is what happens. Afterwards, people were coming to check on it. And it was people that were close to Beth Phoenix and Edge in some type of way, Rey Mysterio, who was in a tag team with Edge on SmackDown. For a while. You had Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Obviously who were the Edge heads. You had Natalia, who's Beth Phoenix's best friend, known as the Divas of Doom. You had R-Truth out there, who was some way close to Edge. You had Devon Dudley come out there, obviously known for the TLC tag title matches and such. You had Gregory Helms out there, so it's quite awesome. And that was Raw. Really don't know what to grade Raw because had a lot of weird moments. It had some really bad moments, some moments I really didn't care for, the AJ Styles Aleister Black match, the Liv Morgan Ruby Riott match, the reveal of what was in Eric Rowan's cage, but also had some really good moments, like the build up to Brock versus Drew, the Street Profits winning the tag team titles. I did like Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane, and then obviously the main event and the next, the Luchador match, pretty much. So I'll think of it like this. I feel like the positives definitely outweigh the negatives, and I think the stuff that I expected to be bad was actually bad. The only thing that really disappointed me on the show was AJ Styles versus Aleister Black. But other than that, nothing really disappointed me. Everything that was bad, I expected to be bad coming in. So I really can't say I was disappointed with it. So I will be generous and give Raw a B minus and give it an 80 out of 100. So yeah, there you go. Now let's talk about backstage, which aired on March 3rd, 2020. It was hosted by Booker T, Renee Young, Mark Henry, and Paige. The only real notable things is they interviewed Jeff Hardy, and this was the first time he's been in a seen on a WWE based show. I think since Table for Three when he was on with Edge and Christian. I want to say too, if there was ever a week to get CM Punk on backstage, it was definitely last week because at least that's when I'm filming this video, anyways. Just because they had a lot of controversy with the Saudi Arabia show and then the Randy Orton, RKO, and Beth Phoenix segment and such. I think this was the week to get CM Punk on, but whatever. Yeah, Jeff Hardy pretty much just kind of talked about what he's been doing. He actually did bring up his drug problems that he had back in October, and he talked about how he went to a medical facility to get help and such like that, which I hope is true. But I've heard him say this so much that it's tough to believe it. So I'm gonna kind of wait and see what happens there. He talked about pretty much too his career and what he wants to do when he comes back. Yeah. So there you go. That was pretty much that. They showed Kevin Owens first match on the main roster when he beat John Cena. They showed a WrestleMania moment, Icon versus Icon, from WrestleMania 18, The Rock versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan. They showed some of Jeff Hardy's best moments at WrestleMania. Jeff Hardy, too, said he would like to work a match with Roman Reigns, which would be interesting. They did talk about Matt Hardy a little bit, too, which is great. And that was pretty much it. That was backstage in a nutshell. There's one other thing that talked about, but I'm going to save that for the wrestling rundown because I kind of want to. And then we have The Bump, which aired on March 4th, 2020. It was hosted by Caleb Braxton, Evan Mack, Matt Camp, and Ryan Popola. The only things really main roster related was Sasha Banks being live in the studio. They just kind of talked about her career, what she's done, since what she was doing as she was taking her sabbatical after WrestleMania 35, and just kind of her wrestling career in a nutshell. They had Norman Smiley come on since she's the head coach and at the Performance Center, and he really helped her. They brought on Bailey, and this is when we found out we were going to have that tag team match between the Boston Hug Connection versus Lacey Evans and Dana Brooke. No, it was Lacey Evans and Naomi. My bad. And then I think that was basically it. I don't think there was really anything else. So that was basically that in a nutshell. They did the WrestleMania tournament finals. Where the winner was gonna get to go to WrestleMania. So there you go. They did the War Room, since they're doing a bunch of the bumps on the road during WrestleMania week. They're trying to decide who they're gonna have for guests. They did some top rope topics. They had Sam Roberts come in the studio and did his take and just kind of talked about certain things coming up at WrestleMania and Elimination Chamber. Then Goldberg got interviewed and kind of talked about what it was like for him to be back in WWE, winning the Universal Championship and such. So that was interesting. And that was basically The Bump in a nutshell. Nothing else really main roster related. Then moving on to SmackDown, which aired on March 6, 2020. The only WWE.com exclusives was it showed 4 things you needed to know before you watch SmackDown. We had the commentary team of Corey Graves and Michael Cole. We had a moment of bliss with the NWO minus Hogan. It was just Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, or Six, since that's what he was known as when he was in the NWO, and Scott Hall. Um, Nikki Cross took a selfie with him. Before this, Alexa Bliss called out the Kabuki Warriors, saying that you've been hiding on Raw, so you need to come to SmackDown. So that's basically kind of probably setting up a match right there at WrestleMania. Um, and then, um, the NWO were just kind of talking about we live in the past. Then Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura came out and they talked trash to him, saying that nobody wants to see them anymore. It's not 97. We got to move on. Focus on the future talents. And the NWO challenged them to a fight, but Sami Zayn denies. But then Braun Strowman runs out. He attacks Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura. But before he can get his hands on Sami Zayn, he puts Alexa Bliss in front of her as a shield, and he runs off. And then afterwards, he said that he's going to defeat their group, and it's going to be too sweet. I actually kind of like this segment. I think Sami Zayn, though, Cesaro, and Nakamura missed their cue or something because there was just this moment where everyone just kind of stopped doing what they're doing, and then they kind of started talking again. So it was kind of weird, and you could hear the guitar go off for Nakamura's entrance. It was really weird, but I thought the segment actually was fine. Then we had the Boston Hug Connection versus Naomi and Lacey Evans. This match I didn't thought sucked. It was not good. Um, Sasha Banks defeated Naomi with the double knees, and I just kind of sit here wondering why they did that, because it's 50-50 booking. No one's really getting over because Lacey Evans and Naomi won last week, and then they just had the Boston Hell Connection just win this week anyways. So what was the point? Afterwards, they're backstage and basically say they're going to take WrestleMania off. No one can beat them and such. Here they want to do a six-pack challenge at Mania. It's going to be these four women, I think Dana Brooke and Carmella and some other person in there. That's yet to be determined. So, not really a fan of that match for WrestleMania. But whatever. They got to get the SmackDown Women's title on somehow. I just personally just leave it off the show. I know that makes that title look weak, but there's really no place to really fit it. I'd have Sasha Banks versus Bayley, but I feel because Sasha Banks, I read they did this because Sasha Banks got injured and she's been off TV for so long. They didn't have the proper time, to build up the match, which I don't really know if that's necessarily true because who's to say they would have just thrown the match together anyways. But yeah, I just think maybe just do Bayley. You could still have Bayley on the show, but maybe have them go after the women's tag titles or something. Because I'm just not a fan of this six-pack challenge. It just seems like we're just trying to cram everybody on WrestleMania, and it just doesn't really make WrestleMania feel special. Because if everyone gets a spot, then what's the point of everyone fighting to get on WrestleMania? Just really weird. Then Sheamus squashed Apollo Crews. I think they turned him heel because backstage he was talking to Shorty G and he just wasn't having it, so I don't really know what's going on there. And he's trying to search for answers. Then Drew Gulak's backstage and Drake Maverick comes up to him and wants to learn from him of how to defeat Daniel Bryan. So he's given a technique on Daniel Bryan's high kick. So Daniel Bryan comes up and says, "If you really think you know my weaknesses, you can prove it to me at Elimination Chamber this Sunday." Really excited about this, actually. It's probably now the match I'm looking forward to the absolute most on the show because I really want to see Gulak versus Bryan, and we're finally getting it, and I really like this, so I'm excited about it. Then Fire and Desire with Dolph Ziggler defeated Carmelo and Dana Brooke. Nothing match. We had the return of the Firefly Funhouse. I loved it. Thought it was awesome. They referenced, Bray Wyatt wants to go after John Cena because, of the loss back at WrestleMania 30 6 years ago, and how, if it wasn't for that loss, Firefly Funhouse and The Fiend never would have been created. And he talks about how he's forgiven him, but The Fiend hasn't. And Ramblin' Rabbit was there, so yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I like that they actually brought this up because, like I said, if Bray Wyatt had beaten Cena originally, the Fiend wouldn't have existed. So it makes sense for them to bring this up. They talked about how that loss messed with Bray Wyatt personally. So I actually kind of like this a lot, and I'm really looking forward to this match at WrestleMania. He even says that the Fiend's gonna destroy John Cena at WrestleMania. So I really like these. Um, Bray Wyatt needs to win that match though, because um, the Fiend isn't dead. I don't want to say the Fiend's dead because um, it's redeemable if he beats Cena and then he wins the title really quickly back from Roman Reigns. If he beats Goldberg for the belt, um, so if that doesn't happen, I mean maybe not necessarily quickly, but he's got to if he beats Cena and wins back the Universal title, I'm assuming all will be forgotten about. Um, I feel like we'll just kind of look at that loss as a hiccup. But I'm really worried. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Then King Corbin was getting interviewed and he gets interrupted by Elias. I don't think they'll do a Mania match between them. I really hope not. I feel like it's just going to be they'll both be thrown in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal and such. Then we had the tag team, and then it showed this week in WWE history when it was the Occupy Raw segment when Daniel Bryan hijacked Raw and got Triple H and Stephanie McMahon to agree to a WrestleMania match. Um, then we had the main event. It was a tag team gauntlet match where the winner was going to enter last in the Elimination Chamber. It's basically all the people that were in the tag team Elimination Chamber match. Kofi Kingston and Big E and Heavy Machinery did segments. Kofi Kingston and Big E just did an interview talking about how they were going to win it. And then Heavy Machinery was trying to focus. Otis went up to try to apologize to Mandy Rose, but she said that you don't stand up a woman like me, so we're kind of continuing teasing that. I really think you can do something special there. I really hope it leads to a big match at WrestleMania where it's either Otis versus Dolph or Heavy Machinery and Mandy Rose versus Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, and Sonya Deville. But we have to wait and see. Um, but then we had the gauntlet match. It started out with Kofi Kingston and Big E versus Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery eliminated them with the Compactor. Um, then Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik entered next. Otis eliminated Grand Metalik with Caterpillar. Then it was the Usos. Tucker rolled up one of the Usos. After he had a super kick on him, he actually got the win. I actually thought that was a clever finish. Then it was John Morrison and the Miz, and Tucker rolled up Morrison for the win. Actually, they had a nice little scrap. Morrison actually hit this cool backflip into an elbow drop. That was actually pretty cool. Afterwards, the Miz and Morrison attack him. They hit the skull crushing finale double stomp combination onto I believe Tucker, and they throw Otis through the timekeepers area. We saw Mandy Rose was watching this backstage, and Ziggler's this is as if she's concerned. So Ziggler's like, "Don't worry about it. Worry about me." So then it's Dolph Ziggler versus Robert Roode next, and they have a nice little scrap. Ziggler and Roode are able to kind of pick the bones though and get the win, and Ziggler hits the super kick on Otis and actually gets the win. And I really like this because we're building something here. Otis didn't get his hands on Dolph Ziggler actually really at all in this match, so we're kind of saving that. And this got Heavy Machinery moreover. I mean, the only thing I really didn't like about it is it's another gauntlet match. Like it seems like WWE can't go a month without having a gauntlet match. Like I think they'll think the world's gonna just combust into and go psh, like basically explode if there's no gauntlet match every month because it seems like we have one every month. I'm sick of it, and I feel like too that's why I kind of couldn't get into this match because we've seen this so often that it just kind of I actually kind of was a little bit bored by it, but um, I like what they were trying to do. It's just enough with these fucking gauntlet matches. Stupid. Um, but yeah, Ziggler and Rudo went to him last in the chamber. I don't know why they didn't do this for the woman, but I guess you know, maybe because Asuka got the injury, they couldn't do it. But yeah, it was weird. I guess because they didn't want to have in case Shayna Baszler, was going to be in it, they didn't want to have her take a loss. So it was just really weird that they didn't do it for the woman on Raw. And that was SmackDown. I thought it was an alright show. Um, it was boring in some places. I liked the gauntlet match. I liked the opening segment. I liked the setup of Bryan versus Gulak, and that's basically it. They continue in those glitch segments where occasionally on the SmackDown you'll see someone's glitching. You'll know if I know what I'm talking about. There's been talk that's either Mustafa Ali or Killer Cross. I prefer it to be Killer Cross because if it's Mustafa Ali, it'd be kind of disappointing. But we'll have to wait and see. So I'll give SmackDown like a C. A C. I'll give it like a 75. It was all right. Um, Now I'm gonna do my quick predictions for Elimination Chamber. I watch every like news related thing and such, so I would know all the matches. The kickoff match was Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins versus the Viking Raiders. That's an easy win for the Viking Raiders. Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins never win. They basically went back to their losing gimmick, but now they just lose. So um, the only match I'm looking forward to on the show: Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak. Um, if this feud was happening post Mania, I could see actually Gulak winning them continuing the feud. But I actually think they want to, do something big with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. As much as I would love to see, Gulak and Bryan do something at Mania, I think this is going to be just an easy victory for Daniel Bryan. But if given the time, though, they can have a banger of a match on this show. But we'll have to wait and see. Uh, and then I can't look this up too because I'll get spoiled. We have the Intercontinental Championship match: Braun Strowman versus Cesaro, Sami Zayn, and Shinsuke Nakamura in a handicap match. The only thing I don't know is if they all get the win, is Nakamura the champion, or is it kind of one of those things where if Cesaro pins him, he's the champion? Really don't know. Really doesn't matter. I expect Strowman just to plow through everybody, which really sucks because I really think we could do. These are Zayn, Cesaro, and Nakamura are so talented that they really don't deserve this. I really think Cesaro should go back down to NXT, or should transfer over to NXT, or go to NXT UK. The only reason I don't want him to go to NXT UK because I don't want them to reform the Kings of Wrestling because I know they would, and that just would be a good use. Like he'd just be back in the tag division. I want to see him like do something special. Um, and then Sami Zayn, I think he should just go back to being like a baby face and being the underdog. Being that underdog and Nakamura. I feel like Nakamura's just kind of phoning it in at this point. I feel like he's taking all the bumps and he's kind of just gonna finish his career off in WWE. But Braun Strowman wins. He retains the title. He's probably gonna pin Sami Zayn at the end. Um, then we have the Raw Tag Team title match, the Street Profits defending against Seth Rollins and Murphy. The Street Profits are going to retain. They just recently won the titles, and I think they did this so that way they could do Rollins versus Owens. So I feel like if you put the titles back on Rollins and Murphy, it'd be pointless. So no idea if Kevin Owens will make an appearance. I don't see them. I don't see that happening. I think the Street Profits should just win clean. And if you want to do something with Kevin Owens afterwards, that's fine, I guess. Um, then we have the no disqualification match. It's Aleister Black versus AJ Styles. So this is really a tough one because AJ Styles needs to kind of get the win since he's facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And Aleister Black also needs the win because he just came off that big loss on Raw. And if he kind of loses this match, it kills his momentum. So um, I'm just going to say AJ Styles wins. I think they'll want to build him up for The Undertaker. And afterwards, Undertaker will make an appearance. Which really sucks because, like I said, we're throwing Aleister Black under the bus. What I would do is I would have Aleister Black actually win and set up, instead of like AJ Styles versus Undertaker, which I don't mind seeing, but I feel like we need to get Aleister Black on the show. And I feel like a great idea. Um, the six-man's not my idea, it's James' idea, but I actually really like it. Is doing the OC, the whole OC versus Styles, not for so the OC versus Black, Taker, and Stin. This can be where Stin finally comes back, and I actually would really like that. Stin could come in and do the hot tag at the end, and obviously Black and Taker could kind of take all the big bumps, mainly Black. So I think that'd be a great idea. But I feel like AJ Styles is gonna win, and then afterwards Undertaker will show up, and then that will set up that match. Um, and I believe there's no other matches really. I think it's just the two chamber matches. So I'll start with the tag team title match. The Miz and John Morrison defending against Heavy Machinery, Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado, the Usos, Kofi Kingston and Big E, um, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, who I went to in last, and somebody else. I forget. Um, but I see Miz and Morrison retaining the titles. They literally just won them like not even 2 weeks ago. By the time before this, so it really wouldn't make much sense to take the titles right off of them. I don't really see any other team winning. Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik definitely not winning. I think Heavy Machinery and Miz and uh, I think Heavy Machinery, Ziggler and Rude teams are gonna cancel each other out, and I could see the Usos or Kofi Kingston and Big E, uh, I guess winning, but I feel like that's gonna be safe for WrestleMania. I honestly think Miz and Morrison will hold the titles even post Mania, but we'll see. But I think Miz and Morrison retain the titles, and then we have the main event. It's the Elimination Chamber match to determine the number one contender to the Raw Women's title. It's Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, Natalia, Asuka, and Shayna Baszler. Uh, I still think Shayna Baszler is gonna win, even though that report came out about about Vince not being a fan of her, because she did respond afterwards. So that'd be interesting. But I do think Shayna Baszler is still gonna win. And obviously, if Vince still is a fan of her, he could just have Becky retain at Mania. Because there's really nobody else that can face Becky Lynch, and you've already kind of started that program anyways. So, because it's not going to be Liv Morgan or Sarah Logan. They've been kind of Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan really have been nothing. Natalia, they've already done that match, and she's kind of in the mid card more so in the women's division. They've already kind of done that story with Asuka and Becky Lynch, so you really kind of can't go there. Um, and yeah, I feel like you just got to go with Shayna Baszler. Ruby Riott, I guess you could do, but that's not really an appealing WrestleMania match. If this was probably, if this was like I said, if this wasn't the match for Mania, I guess I could see Ruby Riott winning, but um, yeah, I think it's Shayna Baszler easily. And then I would have her win the title at Mania, but we'll have to wait and see. I feel like she really needs to have a good performance here, because if she doesn't, then she's screwed. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. And I think that's all the matches for Elimination Chamber. As for I think will be like the first two competitors in for the Raw Women's, number one contenders. I actually see it being Natalia and Asuka. If Asuka can be in the match, because I feel like they can go the distance, and they're the Iron Woman, like in that type of match. You could do Shayna, because I feel like she could easily go the distance, but I feel like she'll be like the last entrant and just wreck shop in there. And as for the first two tag teams in the tag team one, I'm going to say the Usos and the New Day, just kind of rekindle that feud. But they could do Heavy Machinery and you know, um, like the Usos, but I think it's going to be the Usos and the New Day. Um, so Elimination Chamber really doesn't seem like that exciting of a show, because they threw all their cards at not Elimination Chamber, what's it called? Super Showdown, I think it was called. So they kind of had to, you know, scrap this together. It was basically what happened with Backlash in 2018, where they threw everything at the Greatest Royal Rumble, and then Backlash just kind of came out. Yeah, I feel like I kind of went through all the news. There was some news heavy stins, but I want to save those for the wrestling rundown, um, because it's those news sites are kind of bigger. Um, I mean, we're here in the Women WrestleMania matches. For the tag titles, it's going to be probably a triple threat. It's going to be the Divas of Doom, uh, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and the Kabuki Warriors. So, kind of a random match right there. Because it seems like the Divas of Doom really just don't fit, because, you know, of this whole storyline with Edge and such. We find out Edge is going to be on Raw, uh, which is exciting. I can't wait to see what they do with that. I'm trying to think of like what else would have been. I need to start writing these news sites down and such, like these news reports that we get, because I always I watch the videos throughout the week that I forget by the time I get there. Um, yeah, I feel like that's really kind of it. Like everything news related, I want to kind of save for like a future rundown and such. So that's basically it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people watch it. I promise I'm gonna start to be like more um, consistent on YouTube. I know I've been kind of slacking lately because you know, what happened was rundowns have been um, tough to post because we were gonna post them. We were gonna try to have everything posted this weekend, but then copyright sucked, so we have to kind of get rid of the copyrighted music and such. So after spring break, because I'm on spring break next week, um, I'm gonna start to like watch all the wrestling stuff and such, and uh, get caught up on like Impact and uh, New Japan and ROH and NWA, and we'll start to kind of get more consistent rundowns and retros and such. So be on the lookout for that. So subscribe to my channel for this and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys get the notifications for it. And make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers and all the Talking to the YouTube channels. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.